Hi, Genki Call here. It is Forest of Thorns week in Gems of War for the week of June 12th, 2023. For campaign tasks, we have win 25 PvP battles, get 15,000 gold total, and win any battle, just win 50 battles, period. That's all we have to do for the entire campaign for this week. Before I forget, I want to be sure and give you the scoring on the world event. Unfortunately, I do have an appointment again tomorrow, or rather later today, and so I can only do this one video right now. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the scoring here for the Forest's Daughter, and let me just pull that up for you right now. Da, 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 da. It is right here. So we've got rarity order. It's pretty easy. There are two collectibles, but the total points that you get, base points that you will get, are shown on the screen right now. Rarity order, as I said, all subsequent battles will give extra points. I know it just says all battles give extra points, but every subsequent battle, it doesn't have to be a harder battle, it just has to be, so for instance, Earth Dreamer, you fight it, you can fight the same level, but it's a subsequent battle and therefore you'll get extra points for it. So there is some scaling to this week's world event. And let me take that off the screen. And like I said, two different collectibles, but those are the base values for you. I thought that I was going to have some teams ready for you, but unfortunately it wasn't exactly what I thought. On the plus side, we can use Rowan this week. So Rowan is going to be very, very nice. She should be right there. Sylvana Mora is fantastic. There are some. Lord Bellinor actually very good as well. He does damage to two, or yeah, he can do damage to the whole team. No, to two enemies. That's right. Two enemies, and King Avalorn will give all elves a 50% mana start. Plus, he does damage to all enemies. But I'll have to put together teams later. I should be able to put out a world event team for you. Just not going to be able to do it tonight. So next up, Forest of Thorns. So we have the Epic Trials here. The team that I'm showing at the moment is the same as the one from yesterday. I thought that they had decided to change this, but apparently I was misinformed, or it hasn't updated yet on my end. But I was doing it in this order and it was working fine for me. I did it on autoplay to get up to the last couple levels. So King Avalorn is a summoner, and so that's super, but these guys, these guys are both mana gen for green, and then the Earth Dreamer can give you some extra attack, which is nice. You always want to cast on the first troop, whomever it is, and the Forest Troll is great because he entangles when he does skull damage, and he has some skull damage reduction. But we're going to go over all of the troops right now in here. Are we going to? No. Let's back out for just a second. Head over to the shop. Grab your Spoils of War if you can afford it. I recommend getting all 10. It's a fantastic deal for event keys, and you're going to need those if you're going to try for this week's troops. However, you can get this one for 400 glory. I recommend getting this up to mythic level every week if you can. If not, just get what you can afford, because that'll be a level 20 troop when you need it for your power level. And I actually need this for my power level right this minute. So I'm going to get it up to mythic level. And she's a pretty nice troop too. I'm liking this troop, but we're going to go over her in just a second here. Right in here in Forest of Thorns. What? That is wrong. I meant to click here. Alright, so let's put this in rarity order and go over this stuff. Our mythics are King Bloodwood, who does splash damage that will hit a troop, and anything that's touching it will get 50% of that damage. So half of this, so 25 points for each that's touching, boosted by entangled and bleeding enemies with a ×8 boost ratio. And then he steals life from all enemies as well. Also, entangle and inflict bleed on a random enemy when matching 4+ gems. That entangle is going to be super nice with Cannon Bomb, of course, who will do triple skull damage to entangled enemies. Skull damage reduction as well. Then we have Yasmin's Chosen. She actually loops really nicely. That scatter damage, even with the boost, 10 ×10 boost ratio from entangled enemies, is not that much damage. However, because she creates 10 green gems, she can loop and loop and loop. It's really, really good when it's on your team. She can loop, and so she also entangles a random enemy when matching green. You don't even have to have a match for. So again, good to run with Tannenbaum, who's not from this kingdom. I think that one's from Silverglade, if I remember correctly. You will not be able to get the Alderfather. This guy is from Primal Rift, and that is our faction for this kingdom, and you have to get him from the underworld with your Chaos Shards. Next is Gloomleaf. If you fought this guy in Tower of Doom, you know uh, how much this sucks to fight when you're at high levels. Reflecting 50% of skull damage can absolutely decimate your team at high levels. Um, when you're doing a lot of damage. Anyway, he steals armor and 5 attack from all enemies. He's not super useful for me. I haven't used him a lot, but I do respect him because of this third trait. Also impervious and, gains a little life on 4+ gem matches. King Avalorn, as I mentioned, he gives all elf allies a 50% mana start. He's also immune to Mana Drain, Silence, Fairy Fire, and Entangle, and he does damage to all enemies, boosted by elf, elemental, and beast allies. So if they are elemental elves or beast elementals or beast elves, whatever it may be, +3 for each of those things, and then he summons. So he's a really good troop to have. If you ever use elves, really good to use with Arachnean Weaver, who is somehow a elf, by the way. Sylvana Mora, I like this troop a lot actually. Does exploded damage, does damage to all enemies. You get a little bit of mana gen, you get damage to all enemies. It doesn't look like a lot of damage, but once you put it on a team, of course that gets boosted, and you use it in the underworld. It's really good for quick delves. And events, of course. He also has she has the huge trait here. She has a chance to summon upon death and entangle the first enemy on 4+ gem matches. I'm going to stop talking about Tannenbaum because you can't have him here, but again, anything that entangles on a trait is going to be super good with that troop. Alright, next is the Werestag, whom I will never ever use. And I'll tell you why. True damage to the first and last enemies, then create 3 Doom Skulls for each Lycanthropy gem on the board. He inflicts Lycanthropy when on a random enemy when matching 4+ gems, and this are why I'll never use it, because I can't stand Lycanthropy. It backfires too easily and I hate it. Also helps the enemy team, in my opinion, most of the time. So that is why I will personally never use it, but if you like Lycanthropy, he's your guy, or he's one of them. Anyway, you will not be able to get the Dark Forest Troll. He's from Primal Rift. Let's get her leveled up here, and we'll go over what she does. La 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 la, and I get my power level to go up as soon as we leave the kingdom. That'll be awesome. I do love that. So, she converts red gems to green and conjures a leaf storm. So, that feeds right back into herself. So, she can loop. She can loop and loop and loop. She creates that leaf storm, which will put even more green on the board. She's empowered, which is also fantastic. And, if for some reason she ends up at the front of the team, she inflicts Hunter's Mark when she takes skull damage. Personally, I wouldn't put her at the front of the team unless I was planning to let her die, but, she also has the immunities, the same ones as King Avalorn with the wood ancestry. Next up, we have Feymark. This guy is our God Slayer. Watch out for this guy if you bring your gem dragons or anything with a red border to this kingdom to do explorers. But he will do this 3 to 5 times damage on any boss, that's including in the dungeon. If the enemy dies, cleanse all allies and dispel all enemies. That means you're going to take away all of the negative status effects from your team and remove all of the positive status effects from your enemies. And he has a chance to dodge skull damage as well, and has the wood ancestry. If I could talk, that would help. Forest Troll is a fantastic mana generator for green. Double the number of green gems on the board, then create 3 more green gems. If you have 13 or more green gems on the board, you're almost guaranteed to loop with those green. He has skull damage reduction by 33%, and he inflicts entangle when doing skull damage, making him great to run at the front of the team. This one is definitely something I highly recommend going for if you don't have it already. I also really like the Green Seer. I used to use her all the time. Transform any color you want to green and entangle a random enemy. Having the ability to match any color to what you want here is fantastic. She's super useful, just not used that often because most people go for the Forest Troll instead. And she is immune to silence, which is super nice. And then we have Iron Bark. This guy is our siege breaker. He does 3 to 5 times damage to any tower, that's including Leona's tower, and he'll do his spell and entangle a random enemy as well. And he does have skull damage reduction by 33% and summons a leaf storm when an enemy dies, which feeds right back into himself as well. Ha ha ha, Lady Anariel, she creates 8 blue and 8 green gems, and all allies get some life. It's not a bad amount of life, really. Wood Ancestry, and she gets a little extra magic for each green ally, which boosts this purple number here. Lord Archimedes, he does scatter damage boosted by Forest of Thorns allies, and silences the first enemy. It's the silence that really makes him useful. As far as I'm concerned, that scatter damage, even with the boost, is not that much, but for very low levels, and if you don't have other things, he could be useful, except, you have Roanne here, so Roanne is a beast. She is mythic worthy, in my opinion. Anyway, Lord Bellinor, he does damage to an enemy and whatever enemy is directly below them, even if they are separated with 2 spaces, any spaces. This isn't splash damage. There can be spaces between them, and he is going to hit 2 enemies no matter what if there are 2 there. As long as you hit the top one, I should say. And he does that damage to 2 enemies boosted by Forest of Thorns allies, an additional 4 damage for each Forest of Thorns ally. Well, 1 for him, or 4 for himself. And then he starts battles with 50% mana, Wood Ancestry, and can't get red thorn. You will already have Roanne. If you're doing this event, you already have Roanne, because that means you've already completed the sorry, my brain, the storyline at Forest of Thorns. She does scatter damage boosted by her armor with a 2x2 boost ratio. So you take this armor and you double it. That's 222 damage just for my armor, plus the 50. She's really, really powerful. Especially if you hit her with the Shield of Erskaya or boost her armor at all. She's just very powerful. You put her in an event and she kills everything. You put her in a delve, she kills everything. She's just an amazing, amazing troop. However, I should mention that when you elite metal her, it's all going into magic, and the magic really doesn't add a lot to her. I mean, it's going to add to this number here, but what really helps Roanne is her armor. So boosting her magic, not that helpful. Better to elite metal other things first. But I needed to elite metal some stuff in here, so I did. I had to for my power level. The Emerald Giant, he does damage to an enemy, converts 5 brown gems to green giant gems. Each green giant gem will give 5 mana just by matching or exploding it, plus explodes as well, I believe. And has skull damage reduction, does poison when doing skull damage, and creates a green giant gem when he takes skull damage. This guy is meant to run at the front of the team. All 3 of his traits show that that's the way this guy was designed. Unless you don't like the green giant gems and the fact that the enemy could take advantage of that, but anyway, Archdruid, she gives life and 2 magic to 1 ally if the allies and elemental give double the effect, which, can really add up. And she can summon upon death, and she has the Wood Ancestry immunities. Dandelion conjures a leaf storm, and either diseases, entangles, or poisons all enemies, which is not that useful, but you know, if you're low level and you really need the leaf storm. Also inflicts entangle when doing skull damage and reduces damage from skulls by 33%, and has a chance to dodge skull damage. So actually, putting him at the front of your team, not a terrible idea. He's really not a bad troop because of his traits, and you know, the spell isn't that great, but having that leaf storm and these traits, not bad. Earth Dreamer, we already talked about, gives attack, life, and life to the first ally boosted by elementals, elves, and green allies, and has skull damage reduction and bonus green mana from green gem matches. That is just a lot of green mana coming through on that trial this week. Green Golem you will not be able to get. He's from Primal Rift. The Owl Rider does damage to the weakest enemy. If the enemy dies, destroy all purple gems. Does not feed into herself, so you would have to have something on the board that uses purple to take full advantage of her spell, because when you destroy them, that's as if you had matched them. You have bonus yellow mana from yellow gem matches, which does feed back into herself, and the Wood Ancestry immunities. Then we have the Thorn Knight. Remove all red gems. You get no mana from that, but it will add on to the damage that you do with a 3-to-1 ratio. So if there are 9 on the board, you'll get an extra 3 damage, 3-to-1 boost ratio, and you'll entangle whatever troop that is. With the Wood Ancestry, you know what I mean. I've already said it like a million times. Immunities and skull damage reduction by 25%. You will not be able to get the Tree Ant. The Vine Marten destroys a column, deals damage to the last enemy, boosted by brown gems destroyed. An extra 5 damage for each brown gem. 75% mana start. And you cannot, is stealthy. So unless you, unless you stun it, you cannot, pardon me, you will not be able to target it. And it's immune to entangle as well. Will not be able to get the Dark Dryad. Boy, there are a lot of troops here. Dryad, this gives 5 life to an ally straight up and heals 45 life to them. What odd wording that is. Then barriers them and create 8 green gems. You've got the nature link as well, that's super helpful if you're using lots of green mana. The Hippogriff does damage to an enemy. If they're hunters marked, you do triple damage. I should take advantage of that. That's a good thing. Immune to entangle itself, and a chance to dodge skull damage. The Owl Bear does damage to an enemy and eliminates 2 attack from them. Not real great, but we're in the ultra rare rarity here. Nothing really special there. The Wood Rhinax does splash damage, convert all red gems to green. It does not feed back into itself. It's just a support troop for any green mana users on your team. Then does splash damage to the enemy, boosted by gems converted. So 44 for me, 44 splash damage to this, and you'll do 22 here and 22 here if it's touching those other troops. Skull damage reduction, it is a bounty hunter. I don't ever really use this. I haven't really given it a chance on that, but I'm not a big fan of splash damage because I like to do damage to all enemies. I'm very spoiled that way. It's just the way I like to do things. The Ori, I want to pronounce that Ori, but we found him in a blind forest. Ori in the Blind Forest. Ha ha ha. Really beautiful game, by the way. This one does damage to an enemy. You cannot get this. I'm so sorry. So sorry. I meant to mention you cannot get Ori because you can only get this from Guild Wars. My bad. Forget I mentioned that one. Cannot get this with your event keys. But you will be able to get the Glade Warden. This guy removes all green gems. Will not get any mana out of it, but you'll deny it to your enemy. And it will boost the spell as well. Thank you, sweetheart. Wood Ancestry immunities and 50% chance to ignore armor with skull damage. That means true damage with skulls if you hit that 50%. So that is it for what you can get with your event keys this week. There's my power level. Yay! Happy day. All right, and fantastic. All right, so I'm not going to go over the Soul Forge. I should be able to do my Soul Forge video this week. I should be able to do my separate, sorry, there's more. There's more. I have an update for you as well on what's going on with me at the end of the video. But where is my brain? Hello. Hello. I've lost it. Ah, crumbs. All right, I lost what I was going to say. Yes, I should be able to do a separate world event video later as well. I just didn't want to make you wait for the scoring until it's going to be late today. I'm not going to have a chance until after the appointment, and that's going to be late, late, late today. So, events. We've got... Right. We knew about that. Alright, plus 10% for elves and for elementals as well. So an elemental elf will get a plus 20% boost to their skills this week. And then Darling, Daughter of Yasmin, will get you a bonus PvP, I'm sorry, a bonus trait stone if you take her into PvP. We're almost done. We're almost done. I swear. I shouldn't swear. Alright. Sorry. So, coming up this week, tomorrow we have Primal Rift. Where is it? Where's Primal Rift? Oh, right here. We have the Primal Rift Faction Assault, and then on Wednesday we have Yasmin's Petal. This one will boost Yasmin if you have her. She boosts a mythic, so be sure to do that pet rescue if you don't already have it maxed out. On Thursday we have Archer Class Trial. Archer is my favorite of the classes that creates a leaf storm at the start of battle. And then this weekend we have, yay, you know, our favorite, Arena. It's good for me because I'm going to be, busy and want to be doing other things. But anyway, I promised an update on me as well. So fewer appointments are coming. And so I should have some more time to do videos and hopefully live stream soon. Please, live stream. Yes, I need to do my live streams. Anyway, I hope to see you all soon. I hope you have a wonderful day or night wherever you may be, and we'll see you soon. So